Professionals in health and human services often rely on the principle of autonomy, the idea that clients and patients have the right to make their own decisions that are best for them. We cannot, and in fact should not, try to control other people. It's not just immoral, it's ineffective, and frankly gets frustrating when we have a difficult time controlling other people. You'll be doing yourself a huge favor if you learn now to let go of any desire that you may have to try and control the actions of others and embrace the idea that this world is theirs to explore and they get to make mistakes. And not only is that okay, but it has to be okay. There really is no other option. Here are a few things to keep in mind. This helps me as I'm working with clients and I'm trying to keep in mind the idea or the principle of autonomy. First, autonomy is, whether you like it or not, one of the major ethical principles. In any ethics course that you might take, client or patient autonomy comes up again and again and again. So even if the other things that I mentioned on this list don't strike you as particularly important, at the end of the day, you are bound to an ethical code. And you are expected to get on board with this idea that your clients and your patients have self-determination. They get to decide their course of action. They get to decide the speed at which they move. They get to decide which direction they head. And so, although that might be difficult to accept from time to time, it is established and has been long established as a major ethical principle in our work. I want to add to that, though, that in addition to me saying, hey, listen, you got to just get on board with this because all the experts over all the years say it's important, so it's important. More than that, more than that, it's also effective. So when we emphasize to people that they get to make the decisions that are best for them, they are actually less likely to push back against any suggestions that we might make. It is helpful for people to hear that they're in control. It's empowering for them to hear they get to make decisions and they get to have a say in how their life goes, of course. So they're actually more likely to make changes in their lives and hit their goals and grow and heal and be better versions of themselves when we get out of the way and give them a fighting chance to do it. So the first principle up here is like, hey, listen, this is the ethical thing to do. But second of all, even if you're like, I don't care about that, please know that your clients will have more success if you are supporting their autonomy to be self-determined. I also just want to acknowledge that this can be difficult to remember when we get desperate, when we get worked up and really worried about somebody, and we get so concerned with them making the right decisions and taking the quote right path. Sometimes our good hearts get activated in a way that make us so desperate to help that we want to control the situation. So it's difficult to remember, let alone to remember to say it out loud. And that's a whole other step in this process. Oftentimes, ethics courses will emphasize the idea that you should believe, you should think about autonomy and believe in it. And I'm saying we need to take it one step further and we need to talk about it. Our clients need to hear us say out loud, hey, listen, I can't tell you what to do. Hey, at the end of the day, these are your decisions to make. So it's difficult to remember. It might be even more difficult to incorporate it into our speech. I'm encouraging you to do that. And I also just want to note, kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but when we respect the autonomy of others, there's a benefit to us. It's good for our souls to have those boundaries that we've been learning about. It's good for us when we can separate what can I control as a counselor or advisor or case manager, helping professional. what's in my control and what isn't in my control. Because when professionals get confused about that and they start believing they have control over things that they don't have control over, they start trying to encroach or impose upon a person's autonomy. And the more we do that, the more vulnerable we are to burnout and frustration and ending our careers early. If you would like to have a long, happy, successful, and fulfilling career, I'm encouraging you to constantly keep in mind that you can only control yourself. You do not have the ability or the right to impose decisions or actions on the person who you're trying to help. So here's what I do. I repeat a lot to myself. Folks who've worked with me a long time in a training or teaching capacity hear me say this a lot. But I do a lot of self-talk in my own head when I'm working with clients. And listen, this could sound any number of ways, but I repeat a message in my head that reminds me this idea of autonomy. And it might change from day to day, but generally it's something like this. I say to myself, Kate, this person who you're working with is capable. I say, Kate, this person who you're trying to help knows the best course of action for him or her. And if I just need a simple one, I might just stick with, he is capable. She is capable. This person can do this. And the more I repeat that in my mind, the more able I am to let go of any temptation I might have to want to control the situation. It's helpful for me. Find a simple mantra, a few words that you can repeat in your head. Even if you have to close your eyes before you walk in to meet with the client, and remind yourself, this person is capable. This person is capable. And it helps me a great deal.